Looking good, my boy.
Did you start it?
Yeah.
All right.
Hold on a second. Blessed Thursday, everyone.
Yeah.
Or Wednesday, I mean.
Oh yeah, Wednesday. Yeah.
Please, my children. I'm so sorry.
Yep. Peace as always. Thank you for joining us for today's daily Bible reading. Today we'll be continuing our reading of Deuteronomy with Deuteronomy 10. Last time we read Deuteronomy just as a whole, as a book, is a summary of some of the things that we saw from Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers, because now Moses is preparing the children of Israel to enter the promised land, because he won't be going in with them, which is something he talked about in the chapters we read last time. So he's giving them the laws, like some of the things we saw in Exodus 20. We'll keep reading. We'll see other things like that were mentioned in Leviticus 11 or with Exodus 32. Just like continue. We'll just see that he's just going over and reaffirming everything. That like, hey, these are the laws that you need to keep. These are things that you need to do for the Lord to accept you, and you need to do these things the same way we need to keep the law, or the Lord won't accept you, and you'll face these punishments from Him. But yeah, we'll continue that today. But since today is the 4th, we'll be starting with our daily Proverbs, Proverbs 4. So yeah, without further ado, when we get
Alright.
all right, cool. Proverbs 4 and verse 1. Hear ye, children, the instruction of the father, and attend to know understanding. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law. This even goes back to something we saw in Proverbs 3, where the Lord is like a father to us. He is the father, right? As even Jesus talks about, a man only has one father. Like, call a man father because you have but one father, right? Your Father which is art in heaven, right? So the Lord gives us instruction and understanding as a father does to his children and teaches his children, right? And that is his law, this word of God, the Bible he set before us, right? So he's saying, listen to me, for I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law. Some of the same things we even read in Deuteronomy. For I was my father's son, tender and only beloved in the sight of my mother. He taught me also, and said to me, let thine heart retain my words, keep my commandments, and live, right? Because this is, Proverbs is written by Solomon, because these are all the words of the Lord, right? But it's coming through Solomon's mouth. So he's like, even the same way I listened to my father when I was a young man, right? He taught me also and said to me, let thine heart retain my words and keep my commandments and live. Verse 5, get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. So with all of our getting, we should be trying to get wisdom, understanding. In other words, this word of God, right? We should be reading it, studying it. Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. This wisdom will keep you. In other words, keep you safe. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. Principal thing means like the most important. Wisdom is incredibly important. So you need to get, with all thy getting, get understanding. Understanding of what the Lord, this word of God. Exalt her, and she shall promote thee. She shall bring thee to honor when thou dost embrace her. And wisdom, the wisdom of God will bring you to honor. It will only lift you up. She shall give to thine head an ornament of grace, a crown of glory shall she deliver to thee. That crown is really even eternal life. We're not even just talking about a crown in this life or glory in this life. We're talking about in the next, in the future. Hear, O my son, and receive my sayings, and the years of thy life shall be many. I have taught thee in the way of wisdom. I have led thee in the right paths. It's the same thing that even the Lord talked about in Deuteronomy. The Lord taught Israel his ways and the ways of right, being his law, right? So we should follow him, right? I've led thee in right paths. When thou goest, thy steps shall not be straitened, and when thou runnest, thou shalt not stumble. Because if you're following the Lord, you're following his way, you will walk straight. And the Lord will not leave you to be forsaken. You may struggle, but the Lord will not leave you behind. Take fast hold of instruction, let her not go, keep her, for she is thy life. Enter not into the path of the wicked, go not in the way of evil men. So the Lord's like, I've set this path before you. Follow it. Don't go to the left, don't go to the right. Don't go into the path of the wicked man. 15. Avoid it. Pass not by it. Turn from it. Pass away. So he's like, don't even go that way. Don't even like turn your feet in that direction. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief. And their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. They can't even go to sleep like peacefully unless they've done something wicked to someone. For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. But the path of the just is as the shining light. It shines more and more unto the perfect day. The way of the wicked is as darkness. They know not at what they stumble. So we ought to walk as the light, being like Christ, being like the Word of God tells us to be, than to walk in the way of wickedness or darkness. My son, attend to my words, incline thine ear unto my sayings. Let them not depart from thine eyes, keep them in the midst of thine heart. You have to keep this Word of God within you. For they are life unto those that find them, and health to all their flesh. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Put away from thee a froward mouth, and perverse lips put far from thee. So even here's a little more examples. Keep thy heart with all diligence. Heart really being like your mind. Whereas the same way it says keep the law within you, what should be within your mind continually should be the Lord and the ways of righteousness, the law, the Bible. That's what should be within you. So you need to keep your heart with all diligence. Diligently fill your heart with the Spirit of God. And keep your mind and your body right with Him. And perverse, for out of it are the issues of life. Because anything that you do starts here in your mind. If you commit a sin physically, right? You commit a sin, it's because that sin or that lust that caused that sin is already in your mind. So you need to purge your mind of that lust and that iniquity. And from there, you won't commit sin outward, which is even why he continues to put away from the forward mouth and perverse lips put far from thee. Because the same thing, whatever's coming out of your mouth starts in your mind. So you need to purge your mind to stop these things from going out of your mouth, because they shouldn't. 25. Let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyelids look straight before thee. So don't deviate from the way that the Lord has set before you. Put your eyes on right and don't look away. Turn not to the right hand nor to the left. Remove thy foot from evil. Don't go to the right or to the left. Stay on the way which the Lord has directed us. That being like the Word of God, His law.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you.
You see something.
I don't have much else to say about Proverbs 4. I just feel like it's it. And the whole point of the chapter is just follow the way of the Lord. The way of the Lord is right. The way of the wicked destruction. The Lord, very like a lot of the chapters we read last week. Yesterday, very clearly sets the Lord has set the way of life of instruction before us, and like we just need to follow. Like that's it. Like I've said, I've given you the ways of life. Just listen and follow after. That's all you need to do. It's not that difficult.
And this chapter, you talked about a lot, this path, right? Stay straight on the path. Don't turn left or turn right. What's the path? Well, Psalms 119, 105 says, thy word is a light and thy word is a lamp, right? And then when you go to Proverbs 6, it also says, the commandment is let me read it. Proverbs 6:23 says, "For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is a light, and reproofs of instructions are the way of life." So this path is being given to us or directed by the law. Simply being you keeping the law and you staying girded up and reading this word is giving you is leading you to this eternal life. And in it, you know, when you read in verse 9, 10, where you was talking about it's not even about this life, it just made me think of like investing. We're always taught to invest in this world so that you can gain in the latter end. It's the same mindset. Like, we're serving God now, we're investing, we're storing our treasures up in heaven, as Jesus will put it, so that when the time comes, we can reap of all the works that we've already sown in this life, right? So it just like stuff like that, it makes me think. But yeah, this path, this straight and narrow path, as Matthew chapter 12 or 15 will tell you to stay on the narrow path, stay on the straight path, is directed from the law. Like, you need the law to guide you. You need the law to direct you into eternal life, right? Or to Jesus, right? Meaning, when he says the law is the schoolmaster to bring you to Christ, or even when in Revelations 22, when it says, I don't want to paraphrase it, but where it talks about, let's see, let me go to it. Revelation chapter 22, what is it, verse 14? Yes, blessed are they, this is Revelation 22 and verse 14, where it says, "Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city." Point being, and it's the last book in the Bible, the last chapter in the Bible, almost one of the last verses in the Bible, and it's the consistent thing. It's the same thing that we see as we read through Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. It's the same thing. Blessed are those that keep the commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life. Or what? Jesus. Like, Jesus is that tree of life. This Jesus is salvation, his kingdom. You have right to it. You've earned it by keeping the commandments and letting it, like, it's going to guide you to salvation, right? But point is, it all stems from the commandments. You can't serve God. You can't be on that path and you're not following the directions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Outside of that, I don't have anything else.
Yeah. I don't know anything else to add to Proverbs 4 either.
Alright. Well, we're on Deuteronomy chapter 10 today. That's where we're going to start. Deuteronomy chapter 10. And just so we can like refresh, in chapter 8, he basically was telling Israel, don't be puffed up when this happens. Don't begin to start thinking that you did something worthy of having this land or reaping this land. But it's God. It's always been God. God's the one in control. God chose you from the rest of the world, not because you were big and strong, but because you were weak and you were small, right? So he chose you. And then in chapter 9, he starts going through all the ways that Israel messed up, right? Just to really reiterate, you don't deserve this, right? It was God. But now we're going to pick it up in verse 10, and chapter 10, and verse 1. It says, At that time the Lord said unto me, Hew thee 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and come up unto me into the mount, and make thee an ark of wood. And I will write on the tables the words that were in the first tables which thou breakest, and thou shalt put them in the ark. So this is the aftermath of when Moses came down with the 2 tablets, and the children of Israel had made a golden calf, and he destroyed them. So he went back up to the Lord, and the Lord did it again. Wrote the commandments on the tables of stone, and then he put it into the Ark of the Covenant, which we read about in Exodus, right? Well, chapter 3. And I made an ark of shittim wood and hewed 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and went up into the mount, having the 2 tables in mine hand. And he wrote on the tables according to the first writing. the 10 commandments, which the Lord spake unto you in the mount on the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly. And the Lord gave them unto me. And I turned myself and came down from the mount and put the tables in the ark which I have made. And there they be, as the Lord commanded. And the children of Israel took their journey from Beerah of the children of Jachan to Mosera. There Aaron died, and there he was buried. And Eleazar his son ministered in the priest's office in his stead. From thence they journeyed unto Gudgoda, and from Gudgoda to Jothbad, a land of rivers of water. At that time the Lord separated the tribe of Levi to bear the ark of the covenant of the Lord, to stand before the Lord to minister unto him, and to bless in his name unto this day. So remember, God separated Levi, meaning Levi had a different job. They didn't have their own land like the rest of the tribes did. And if you remember, I believe it was just a few chapters ago, Moses would command the people that like every tribe is going to give Levi some cities in that land. That's where they would stay and continue to do the work of the Lord, right? But they didn't have their own land, like it's going to say in verse 9, where Levi had no part nor inheritance with his brethren. So he's not like his brethren. He's different. The Lord is his inheritance, according as the Lord thy God promised him. So Levi is separate. He's not like the rest of the nations. Levi was set apart to do the work of the Lord and assist the priests with the temple and things of that nature, right? Verse 10, and I stayed in the mount according to the first time, 40 days and 40 nights. And the Lord hearkened unto me at that time also, and the Lord would not destroy me. And the Lord said unto me, Arise, take thy journey before the people, that they may go in and possess the land which I swear unto their fathers to give unto them. And now, Israel, what doth the Lord thy God require of thee? So now he's like, okay, all this happened. Now, with you guys, what does the Lord require from you? But to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. So he's saying, now this is what you need to do. And remember, he's not talking just to Israel. Israel was the priest. And what God was giving to Israel, it was Israel's responsibility to give to the rest of the world. They were just a preacher in that sense. Just like you go to church and the preacher is telling you the words of God that you need to be doing, it's that same thought process. Israel is the preachers, and they're giving the same good doctrine that we read about in Proverbs 4 to the rest of the world, right? And you got to think, Israel. It wasn't just Israel in the land. We had a mixed multitude, many what they would call strangers. So this isn't just for Israel. This is for servants of God, right? But so this is what the Lord's requiring of you and requiring of us. But to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. How do you do that? To keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I have commanded thee this day for thy good. So he's saying, this is what you need to do. You need to keep the commandments. It's always been that. Keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I command thee this day. Verse 14, behold, the heaven and the heavens of heavens is the Lord thy God, the earth also with all that are therein. Only the Lord had a delight in thy fathers to love them, and he chose their seed after them, even you above all people, as it is this day. Circumcise therefore the foreskins of your heart, and be no more stickling. So now he's saying you need to circumcise the foreskin of your heart. Pretty much just mean cutting out the sin in you, right? Because it's a parallel from circumcising the flesh. On the 8th day we was commanded to circumcise all the males, and they would cut like the unnecessary parts of the foreskin of the penis. Point being, that same cutting you need to do with your heart or with your mind. Because like we just read in Proverbs 4 as an example, out of it are the issues of life. You're going to do what's in your mind. So, and like he was saying, you need to get rid of all them lusts, get rid of all of that, the desires, ungodly desires and the wicked desires. That all stems from circumcising your heart or circumcising your mind, cutting off all the sin and the lust in you, and be no more stiff-necked. Your priority, your mind needs to be what? Meditating on the Lord day and night, focused on the law of God, right? That's where your heart and your mind should be. So he's telling them, circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, and be no more stiff-necked. The thing about circumcising your heart is, when your flesh your parents do for you, right? Circumcise your heart, that's something you gotta do. You gotta fight and gird yourself up, put the spirit and the words of God in your heart. Verse 17, for the Lord your God is God of gods and Lord of lords, a great God, a mighty and a terrible, which regardeth not persons, nor taketh reward. So it doesn't matter who you are. Like, and there's nothing you can give God but yourself. Like, you need to give, that's the offering you can make. The blood of bulls and goats don't matter. You can't pay God money. You can't, there's nothing you can do but offer yourself as a living sacrifice, like Romans 12 tells us to do. And that sacrifice is killing yourself and carrying that cross, as Jesus put it, right? Doing what he commands you to do. 18, he does not execute the judgment of the fatherless and widows, and loveth the stranger, and giving him food. He doth execute the judgment of the fatherless and widow, and loveth the stranger, and giving him food and raiment. So don't let, verse 19, love ye therefore the strangers, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. So this whole, because there's notions out here that God only likes Israel and nobody else. That's completely false. He said love, he's commanding Israel, love the strangers. You were just like them, right? So don't switch up now. You know what it's like to be in a stranger's in a different land and amongst different people. Point being, God gives us a commandment here: love the stranger, right? It's never been just about Israel. Like we said yesterday. Yes, Israel is the firstborn. Yes, Israel is the chosen amongst all the nations, but they were chosen to preach to the rest of the world, to save the rest of the world. Like Peter tells us, God wishes that all come to repentance and none will die. That's all nations. And then you look at Mark 16 and 17, or is it 15 and 16, where it says, baptize, go out and teach and baptize all nations and every creature. Point being, it's always been about everybody obtaining salvation, not just Israel. Verse 20, thou shalt fear the Lord thy God. Him shalt thou serve, and to him shalt thou cleave, and swear by his name. He is thy praise, and he is thy God, that have done for thee these great and terrible things which thine eyes have seen. Thy fathers went down into Egypt with 70 persons, and now the Lord thy God hath made thee as the stars of heaven for a multitude. Just like he promised Abraham that he would do, he's done. The point is, this is what we need to be doing. And this was the job for Israel, and also the job for us today, right? But that's chapter 10, Deuteronomy chapter 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you put it all very well. Where it's almost, no, it's not almost the same. It is the same as like baptism, where when you're baptized, you're supposed to, as Paul puts it, put off the old man, put on the new man. Where it's supposed to be a transition where you've changed your ways and you have become a new person, and that part is like your mind, right? Put away like a fleshly mind, carnal minds, put on like a mind of Christ, right? It was all the same thing, and I think it's a really good example, especially of that. Two, Jesus is the God of the Old Testament, but really just to the point that it's the same doctrine. Like, it's not different. Like, we never got to like the New Testament, because Testament really means like testimony or covenant, right? And like we never got to like the New Testament. It was all a new thing, and there's this like we are in uncharted territory. Like, no, everything that happened was either something prophesied or was already set in stone. That's why Jesus said, like, hey, I don't give you a new commandment. Like, I give you no new commandment, but of old. Because it's just like, well, I'm not making up anything new here. I'm just putting emphasis on things you guys are overlooking. Where the point of, you need to become a new person when you enter a covenant with God, which is what is happening here. Granted, it wasn't literal baptism that says these people weren't dunked in water, but even again, you read Paul, It says, well, they were baptized when they came in through the Red Sea. All to the point is that was meant to be a change. And that's why the Lord taught them in the wilderness, because you guys have come through the Red Sea. You guys have entered a covenant with me, which they did here. And so you guys are supposed to be a new people. So these are the things that you'll do as a new people. And it's the same way even with us now with baptism. We acted the way once before we knew the Lord, we got baptized, and now we've come in to know the Lord. And we need to walk after the ways which He set before us, which is, again, the same things that they always have been. The things that we've been reading over and over again. His law, His commandments, like everything we've read from Genesis to Deuteronomy so far, and everything we'll continue to like see and read as we get further in the Bible. But yeah. That's all I've got to say about Deuteronomy 10. Very cool. In that case, Deuteronomy 11. Therefore thou shalt love the Lord thy God, and keep His charge, and His statutes, and His judgments, and His commandments always. So we'll always keep them, right? Even now. And know ye this day, for I speak not with your children, which have not known, which have not seen the chastisement of the Lord your God, His greatness, His mighty hand, and His stretched out arm, and His miracles, and His acts, and which He did in the midst of Egypt unto Pharaoh the king of Egypt, and unto all his land, and what He did unto the army of Egypt, unto their horses and to their chariots, how He made the water of the Red Sea to overflow them as they pursued after you, and how the Lord hath destroyed them unto this day, and what He did unto you in the wilderness until you came into this place. So He's saying, I'm not talking to your children. Or He's saying like future generations or other people who have not seen these great things. I'm not talking to people like in all of this saying like you need to follow the Lord, keep His commands, so on and so forth. He said, I'm not even, like you say it's saying, well, like Moses is saying, He's not talking to me or to him or to you or anyone of this generation where they haven't seen the Lord put His plagues on Egypt. They haven't seen the Lord split the Red Sea and close it back up on Pharaoh's army. We haven't seen the all the things that happened in the wilderness. Verse 6. And what He did unto Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, the son of Reuben, how the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up in their households, and their tents, and all the substance that was in their possession in the midst of all Israel. That's referring to Korah. And Dathan and Abiram were the people with him. Right? So I'm not talking to people who haven't seen that didn't see that, or haven't seen these things. 7. But your eyes have seen all the great acts of the Lord, which He did. But no, I'm talking to you guys. You guys have witnessed all of this. So it's the same way as the Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. You guys have seen, like, I'm going to hold you guys more accountable, because those people always say, well, like, yeah, sure I did believe, but I didn't see any of these things. You guys have seen everything. So you guys have no reason not to believe and to not obey. You've clearly seen what happens if you don't obey. There's no reason. Like, you have no excuse. 8. Therefore shall ye keep all the commandments which I command you this day, that you may be strong and go in and possess the land whither you go to possess it. So you guys have to keep them if you want to go into the land and possess it, which even rings true for us in the sense of, well, we can't ask things from the Lord and not want to follow His way or His law and expect Him just to give it to us, right? We read in Proverbs a while back, the prayer of the wicked is abomination to the Lord, right? Where the same way, it's here even posed as an if you guys will listen, then go in and possess the land whether you go to possess it. Therefore, so therefore is another way of saying if. So if ye shall keep all the commandments which I command you this day, that ye may be strong and go in and possess the land whither you go to possess it, and that ye may prolong your days in the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers to give unto them and to their seed, a land that flow with milk and honey. For the land whither thou goest to possess it is not as the land of Egypt from whence ye came out, where thou sowest thy seed and waterest it with thy foot as a garden of herb. But the land whither ye go to possess it is a land of hills and valleys, and drinketh water of the rain of heaven. A land which the Lord thy God careth for. The eyes of the Lord thy God are always upon it, from the beginning of the year even unto the end of the year. So he's like, this is not just some random land. This is a land that I've had my eye on forever. It's perfect, right? That's like even what he was saying to Abraham when he first promised to him all the way back in Genesis. Like, it's a goodly land. Like, this is a real good land I plan on giving you, Abraham. So he's saying like, listen to me, obey me, so you can have it and keep it. It may be good for you. 13. And it shall come to pass, if you shall hearken, again, if ye shall hearken diligently unto my commandments, which I command you this day, to love the Lord your God, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul. Because remember, even the New Testament says, on these two things hang all the law and the prophets, and one of them was to love the Lord thy God with all your heart and with all your soul. So again, it's saying the same. There's no different thing. It's saying the same thing here. But again, what is he referring to? His commandments, which at this point he's made very clear, and he'll continue to do so as we keep reading Deuteronomy. So it's all the same thing. That will give you the rain of your land in his due season, the first rain and the latter rain, that thou mayest gather in thy corn and thy wine and thine oil. And I will send grass in thy fields for thy cattle, that thou mayest eat and be full. Take heed to yourselves that your heart be not deceived, and ye turn aside and serve other gods and worship them. And then the Lord's wrath be kindled against you, and he shut up the heaven, that there be no rain, and that the land yield not her fruit, unless you perish quickly from off the good land which the Lord giveth you. So he's saying, do these things so I may do well to you, that you may have this land that will produce fruit, and you can build houses and vineyards and gardens and so on and so forth. Take heed to yourselves that your heart be not deceived. So he's saying, stay diligent. Because we see you can be deceived. It's very easy to be deceived, right? That's one of the first things the Lord Jesus warned us about in Matthew 24 when referring to just the end of the world as a whole. Be not deceived, right? Where he says, so don't be deceived and turn aside to serve other gods and worship them. Because if you do, I'm going to have to destroy you. Like he said, my wrath be kindled against you, and shut up heaven and bring no rain, and you'll perish off the good land. That means die. And you'll die off the good. It's like the Lord's like, so he's literally begging him, like, hey, listen to me so I don't have to kill you. Listen to me and keep my way, because if you turn away from it, I'm going to have to kill you. Verse 18. Therefore shall you lay up these words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they may be as frontlets between your eyes. So it needs to be within your mind. It needs to be within your heart, and even your soul. This needs to be in every part of you. His law and his word, and following it and keeping it. 19. And ye shall teach them your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt write them upon the doorposts of thine house, and upon thy gates. So he said, this needs to be ever. You need to pass it down. It's not just for this generation. No, this is a continual, a perpetual, which means a forever thing, where it's going to go. You teach it to your children. And they will have it within them, and they will teach it. You'll have it on your doorposts and on your gates. That means you won't be able to go anywhere in your cities and in your country without seeing this law and seeing my word, because this is the foundation of everything you guys should be doing. 21. That your days may be multiplied, and the days of your children in the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers to give them, as the days of the heaven upon the earth, so you can live. Again, because the Lord's like, I want to bless you. But you have to listen to me in order for me to bless you. For if ye shall diligently keep all these commandments, again, which I command you to do them, to love the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, and to cleave unto him, so if you'll do them, then will the Lord drive out all these nations from before you. And ye shall possess greater nations and mightier than yourselves. Every place whereon the soles of your feet shall tread shall be yours, from the wilderness and Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even unto the uttermost sea, shall your coast be. So he said, hey, I've already promised you this much land, but if you obey me, I'll give you that land. And if you keep obeying me, I'll give you even more. I'll give you from, like he said, from the wilderness in Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even unto the uttermost sea shall your coast be. So even from the river Euphrates to the Mediterranean River, that's way more than he promised them from what we read in Numbers and Deuteronomy. But he's saying, well, I'll give you even more. So just say, I will continually bless you more and more and more and more if you guys just obey me. 25. There shall no man be able to stand before you. For the Lord your God shall lay the fear of you and the dread of you upon all the land that ye shall tread upon, as he hath said to you. Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. It's like I've said today, like, hey, either you will be blessed or you will be cursed. And I'm setting today before you to pick which one you want to be. Whether you want to be blessed or whether you want to be cursed. And really it's the same for us. Where the Lord has, even with the Proverbs 4 we read being a good example, the Lord has set the way before us. The Lord has set the way. And like we read Proverbs 4, just walk it, don't turn to the left hand or to the right. Right? Where I've set the way. So either you'll get a blessing if you follow it, or a curse if you don't. Let's look at 28. So 27. A blessing if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you this way. So if you obey me and keep my commandments, you'll get a blessing. 28. And a curse if you will not obey the commandments of the Lord your God, but turn aside out of the way, which I command you this day to go after other gods, which ye have not known. So he said, but I'll curse you if you don't obey me, if you don't keep the ways that I've set before you, if you choose to go after other gods. And again, this whole thing of other gods, sometimes we'll be like, oh, well, it's, I'm not serving Baal, I'm not serving Vashtu or Ra, or these gods by name, right? But that doesn't matter, right? Anything you put before the Lord, anything you do or you keep or you love more than the Lord your God, and you do instead of keeping his commandments, instead of, despite whatever, right? That is your God, right? And that could even be Christ, right? Because even the book talks about there are many false Christs, right? Or people say like, hey, Lord, like not to everyone who says Lord, Lord, right? Will receive the kingdom. Or even the same way where Christ will talk about the spirit of Antichrist that has gone out already, all to the point where there are people who say they are of God, that say they are of Christ, or even people who say they are Christ, or following after Jesus Christ, that are just lying. And that's even the same way, which is following a false God. Because the whole point is, well, you're going contradictory to what I told you to do. And very clearly it points out, well, what that is, his law. 29. And it shall come to pass when the Lord thy God hath brought thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, that thou shalt put the blessing upon Mount Gerizim, and the curse upon Mount Ebal. Are they not on the other side Jordan, by the way where the sun goeth down, in the land of the Canaanites, which dwell in the champaign over against Gilgal, beside the plains of Moreh? For ye shall pass over Jordan to go in to possess the land which the Lord your God giveth you, and ye shall possess it, and dwell therein. And ye shall observe to do all the statutes and judgments which I set before you this day. So it's like, if you obey me, I'll give you this land, and you'll grow greater and greater and greater, and you shall observe, to do all the statutes and judgments which I set before you this day. Because remember, all of this is everything what we read so far in a few chapters back is all happening on the last day before, or the day that they're about to go into the promised land. So Moses is spinning all of this to them now. I'm telling you all of the law right now, and I've written it down too. So everything I'm telling you this day, because don't even try to think of it chapter 11, what did it say? It's not the same thing. It's no, all of this is happening in one day. And all of this is that law, so you have to keep it. Everything I'm telling you right now, you have to keep it. And that's basically the entire book of Deuteronomy. But yeah.
I think the most important thing to really gather from this chapter is there's a lie being told in this world that God's love is unconditional, right? And as we read this, this chapter and really the whole book, it's repeatedly shown to us that no, it is conditional. That's why that word "if" is so. I would be willing to bet outside of God or something, "if" is one of the most used words in the Bible, because every promise, every like reward or even curse that is relayed to the people is all based on if you do something. Like I was looking up because there was a song that we listened to, and he recalls unconditional, like the word says, God's unconditional love or whatever. You remember the song? But we changed it to conditional.
God's great, like Ricky Dillard.
That's a good point. Being, I mean, I guess it don't matter, but my point
The love
is,
that he shows is
we
say conditional.
Right, the love that he shows is so conditional, or something like that. But point being, like I looked it up to try to find it, and it's like Justin Bieber got a song called "God's Unconditional Love." Your love is unconditional. Like there's so many just songs like talking about how God's love is unconditional, and what we're gathering here is just simply it's not like it's just not. And like you just said earlier, the Old and the New Testament don't differ. One thing about Jesus, he said he said you would know me, you would understand me if you understood Moses. You know what I'm saying? Point being, he didn't come to differ from what Moses was talking about. He gave Moses what to say. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then when you look at Matthew chapter 5, which I believe is what you're alluding to, or what you quoted, where he was like, until one jittle or one, it says until one jot or one tittle pass, or until heaven and earth be gone. Yeah. Not one jittle or not one jot tittle or one tittle shall pass from the law. Meaning, the earth is still here, we're still here, the law is still here. Yeah. There's nothing, and then he proceeds to say, but he that breaketh the law and teaches men to do so shall be called. No, he says, he that breaketh the least of the commandments. Yeah. And teach men to do so. That means even the small things. Like that's how serious God is taking it. Shall be called the least, and you teaching people to do so, you'll be called the least in the kingdom of heaven, i.e., the lake of fire. But him that keepeth the commandments and teaches men to do so shall be called the great in the kingdom of heaven, i.e., you're part of their kingdom. But point being, eternal life. Even in Matthew, Jesus himself is showing it's conditioned. It's a conditional love. It's a conditional reward. So you gotta earn it. You gotta be. What's the right term? You gotta fall under the condition, or however you would say it. Right. Fall in line. Right.
Because even the term unconditional, or even just saying God's love is unconditional, is not in the Bible. It's not. It just isn't. Especially if we're talking like original KJV, just isn't. And then even like in the NIV and that kind of stuff, it doesn't really say any of that either, because it just isn't. The Bible just never says anything of the sort. People will take things like, probably the most common is stuff like Romans 5. Was it like I pulled some of them up? Yeah, like 1 John 4, Romans 8, stuff like that. Like where it's like, well, Christ loved us while we were yet sinners. Christ loved us so much that he died for us while we were yet sinners. Right? Yeah. For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son. Right? Where true, the Lord loves us. Right? And he loved us in that he died for us and he saved us. Right? But here's the thing. Is that not what happened with Israel too? Did not God... Granted, we're not talking about his death, right? But in the same way, God loved Israel when they weren't following him. And he showed them love by saving them and by feeding them. And then even when they were rebelling against him, he continually, he would punish them, but then he would forgive them. He would be like, oh, I'm going to kill them all, but then he would repent, meaning he would stop himself. Like, oh, no, okay, I'm not going to kill them all right? We're going to find another. He continually had mercy on them over. That's love. That's what that is. That's the love we're talking about. But does that absolve you? Meaning that, you don't have to do anything? No, he literally killed them because they wouldn't listen. In the same way, does that not mean that he can't hate them? No! We just read that is the case. Because he's like, I put this much love into you. And if you return that love I've given you with hate, what else am I supposed to do? Because here's the thing. The Lord, God is not in an abusive relationship where we treat him with nothing but hate and hate the things that he says and hates the things that he loves and he tells us to do and hate the way that he set before us. And the Lord just doesn't care. And he's just like, well, I'll take it. I'll love you anyway. The Lord doesn't, the Bible doesn't even say that anywhere. The Lord says he's forgiving. He's merciful. He doesn't want any to enter the lake of fire. But it never says that none won't. Never says that. The Lord wishes for all to be redeemed, but it doesn't mean all will. And even if you think about it, if the Lord wishes all to be redeemed, doesn't that mean you have to be redeemed? And then redeemed from what? From sin. And you can't be redeemed from sin if you're still doing it. And that's what the Bible talks a lot about in Romans 1, in Hebrews 10, and so many darn other places throughout the Bible. That's what it means to put away the mind of the flesh and put on the mind of Christ. To put away the old man and put on the new man, where you stop committing those sins. So, yeah. That's all I gotta say about Let It Go.
Yeah.
It's more than a bit, but...
Hey, go ahead with this chapter 12. I got it.
Okay. Alright. Alright. Deuteronomy 12 and verse 1. These are the statutes and judgments which ye shall observe to do in the land which the Lord God thy fathers giveth thee to possess it all the days that ye live upon the earth. So he's starting to go over the laws again. So these are, again, you shall observe to do all the statutes and judgments I put before you this day. So now he's starting to go into some of the actual laws and judgments again, right? All the days that you live upon the earth. Again, you got to keep this thing your whole life, right? There is no point to where you just get to stop. 2. Ye shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which ye shall possess serve their gods, upon the high mountains and upon the hills, under every green tree. So he said, all of these idols, all the places where they serve these idols, all these altars, everything, destroy it, kill it out of the land. Because remember, the Lord is trying to sanctify and make Israel a holy people before him. He wants to make the land holy. He wants to make Israel sanctified and set apart so they can really start to instruct the other nations or the other peoples around them. Right? So I need you guys to get all the wickedness away from you. So you guys don't get drawn away towards it. Right? 3, and ye shall overthrow their altars, and break their pillars, and burn their groves with fire, and ye shall hew down the graven images of their gods, and destroy the names of them out of that place. So again, get it all out, destroy it out. Because it's the same way the Bible will talk about what communion hath light with darkness. It talks about in the New Testament, I can't remember where, but all to the point. The Lord doesn't have communion with Baal, with Beelzebub, or just with Satan. The Lord, the two don't just mix together. It's the same light doesn't have the darkness. So we need to get this out of here. 4, ye shall not do so unto the Lord your God, but unto the place which the Lord your God shall choose out all your tribes to put his name there, even unto his habitation shall ye seek, and thither thou shalt come. So he's saying, and you guys shouldn't just have any place. Like you're destroying all the houses of their gods and the places for their gods, right? But you guys can't just set up any places, any way, anywhere for me. No, I will call a place. I will choose a place. And we later see from 1 Chronicles that's Jerusalem. First Chronicles as well as First Kings, that the place which he chose was Jerusalem. That's where they ended up building the temple. But he said, well, that's where my things are going to be. That's where my altar, that's where my, the Ark of the Covenant, my tabernacle, my temple, my home, that's where it's going to be, right? Wherever I choose out of your tribes to put his name there, like my name there. Even unto his habitation shall ye seek, and thither thou shalt come. And thither ye shall bring your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your tithes, and heave offerings of your hand, and your vows, and your freewill offerings, and the firstlings of your herd and of your flocks. So all of these things that, again, like you do at the tabernacle, you do at the temple, that's where you will bring them. I have a set place. We're not just doing this anywhere, anyway. I have a set order. There's a specific way that we're doing this. This is how we're going to do it. And this is where we're going to do it, wherever I place my name. And that ends up, in finality, being Jerusalem. And there ye shall eat before the Lord your God, and ye shall rejoice in all that ye put your hand unto. Ye and your households wherein the Lord thy God hath blessed thee. Ye shall not do after all the things that we do here this day, every man whatsoever in his own eye, is right in his own eyes. So, I've set a direct, again, like he's said all last chapter 11, I've set both a blessing and curse before you. I'm giving you the law now, right? Because remember, this is a new generation of people. So they're just re-giving the law to them to make sure they all know it. So I'm saying it before you guys now, blessing and curse. Everyone isn't just going to do whatever they think is right now. No, the Lord, have told you what is right. I've set the way before you, as we saw in Proverbs, where I've set the way before you, and now you follow it. Right? Verse 10. But when ye go over Jordan, and dwell in the land which the Lord your God giveth you to inherit, and when he giveth you rest from all your enemies round about, so that ye dwell in safety. So after you've entered the land, and now you've made it yours, and it's and you dwell there, then there shall be a place which the Lord your God shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. Thither shall you bring all that I command you. So right now, you guys are just walking around in the wilderness, and you've just been carrying the tabernacle everywhere you go. No. When you get in the land, we're not just going to be moving the tabernacle everywhere. No, we're keeping this in one place, the place where I will put my name. And the tabernacle had a place, if I remember correctly, it was Hebron, but eventually the Lord built a permanent home, not just a tabernacle, actual temple with Solomon. And again, that was in Jerusalem. But again, what's going here? Middle of 11, your burnt offerings and your sacrifices, your tithes and the heave offerings of your hand, and all your choice vows which ye vow unto the Lord. And ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God, ye and your sons and your daughters and your men servants and your maid servants, and the Levite that is within your gates, for as much as he hath no part nor inheritance with you. Because remember, Levites didn't get land. They got some cities, but the Lord, in duty of taking care of the Lord's tabernacle, that was their inheritance. Right? 13. Take heed to yourself, take heed to thyself, that thou offer not thy burnt offerings in every place that thou seest, but in the place which the Lord shall choose in one of thy tribes. There thou shalt offer thy burnt offerings, and there thou shalt do all that I command thee. Notwithstanding, thou mayest kill and eat flesh in all thy gates, whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, according to the blessing of the Lord thy God, which he hath given thee. The unclean and the clean may eat thereof, as of the roebuck and as of the hart. Right? It says in that place again. So in the tabernacle, in the temple, that's where you'll do your offerings. That's where you're that's where you'll commune. Because again, when talking about the feast, where it says 3 times a year males are supposed to appear before the Lord, this would be the place where you would appear before the Lord. And that's why he's also saying, notwithstanding thou mayest kill, eat flesh in all thy gates. So he's saying, well, okay, and you can eat of flesh, meat. What we call nowadays meat in the Bible, when it says meat, it means bread, but flesh means what we call meat. Steak, chicken, things like that. So whatever thy soul lusteth after, right? Maybe people will stop there, whatever I want. But note the Lord makes a distinction according to the blessing of the Lord thy God, which he hath given thee. The Lord's given us his blessing of what we can and what we cannot eat. We'll even get to see it more as we go going to, it's either Deuteronomy 13 or Deuteronomy 14. But we'll see him reiterate again, but we saw in Leviticus 11 what the Lord has blessed us to eat and what not to eat. See, there are clean animals which we can eat and unclean that we can't. And then he even lists some examples. Like he says, the unclean and the clean may eat thereof. And he's not saying you can eat unclean and clean food. No, he's saying the unclean man, and the clean man may eat thereof, may eat of the food. Because remember, there are unclean people and clean people, and the Lord will have them separated. But he's saying that, like, well, throughout your coast, so again, away from the tabernacle, which is the whole point where we're trying not to defile it. Like, if you're away from it, then both the unclean and the clean, you guys can both eat meat. But he even lists examples of what they can eat, as of the roebuck and as of the hart. The hart is not like hair, like a bunny. A hart is like a deer. It's same as a roebuck. You call a deer a buck. So these are referring to like deer and like antelopes, essentially, which are clean animals. So again, he's making it clear, well, you can eat these things. Again, things he's already told us, like Leviticus 11, are things he's saying we can eat. 16. Only he shall not eat the blood. Only he shall not eat the blood. He shall pour it upon the earth as water. And again, even that's something we saw in Leviticus 11 as well. The Lord did not permit us to eat blood or to drink blood. He's like, well, no, you have to get that out. Because he said, the life is in the blood, and the life belongs to the Lord. 17. Thou mayest not eat within thy gates the tithe of thy corn, or of thy wine, or of thy oil, or of the firstlings of thy herd, or of thy flock, nor any of thy vows which thou vowest, nor thy freewill offerings, or heave offerings of thine hand. But thou must eat them before the Lord thy God in the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. Thou and thy son, and thy daughter, and thy manservant, and thy maidservant, and the Levite that is within thy gates. And thou shalt rejoice before the Lord thy God, and all that thou puttest thine hands unto. Take heed to thyself, that thou forsake not the Levite as long as thou livest upon the earth. And when the Lord thy God shall enlarge thy border, as he had promised thee, and thou shalt say, I will eat flesh, because thy soul longeth to eat flesh, thou mayest eat flesh whatsoever thy soul lusteth after. So he said, like, hey, like, so your tithes, you're supposed to take them up here. And you just don't get to eat them whatever. No, the tithes are meant to be given to the Lord, given to the Levite. So you have to take it up there. Right? And thy maidservant and Levite is within thy gates. And thou shalt rejoice before the Lord thy God, and all that thou puttest thine hands unto. So it's not meant for you to keep. The point of a tithe is to give it away to the Lord and to the Levite. So it's meant to be almost shared. Take heed to thyself that thou forsakest not the Levite as long as thou livest upon the earth. Because again, the Levite, his inheritance was the Lord. And he had some cities, but he didn't get real land or inheritance or real money. So it was part of like the jobs of like the individual tribes to take care of them. Because really, they're making you right with the Lord your God. They're instructing you in how to serve him. So you're like a part of that tithing and all just the general taking care of. It's like, well, you're paying that back. Again, like eating flesh, like it's fine for you to eat the flesh, but again, there's commandments of like fleshes you can eat and those you can't, right? And the Lord makes that very clear. 21. If the place which the Lord thy God hath chosen to put his name there be too far from thee, then thou shalt kill of thy herd and of thy flock. So he's saying wherever the Lord places his name, if it's too far for you to get there, again, for like the feasts or something, right? Then, like where you are, thou shalt kill of thy herd and of thy flock, which the Lord hath given thee, as I have commanded, and thou shalt eat in thy gates, whatever thy soul lusteth after. So then you'll just eat and partake where you are, even as the roebuck and the hart is eaten. So shalt thou eat them. So he's saying, so again, what we're eating is the roebuck and the hart, clean animals. Again, they're like deer, which are clean. They going back to Leviticus 11, they chew the cud, they split the hoof, right? That may you eat of. And 22, the unclean and clean shall eat of them alike. So both the unclean man and the clean man may eat of them. So he's saying, well, even if you are unclean, you can still eat and partake of the feast. That's the point he's making. Not that you can eat unclean food, because that doesn't even make sense in how it's talking. 23, only be thou sure that thou eat not the blood, for the blood is the life, and thou mayest not eat the life of the flesh, but you can't eat the blood. Thou shalt not eat it. Thou shalt pour it upon the earth as water. Thou shalt not eat it, that it may go well with thee and with thy children after thee, when thou shalt do that which is right in the sight of the Lord. Only the holy things which thou hast in thy vows thou shalt take and go into the place which the Lord shall choose. So he's saying, like, you eat and partake there, like all the things, but you still need to take your holy things, the things you're sacrificing, to that place. But it's just like you can't travel with too many items. So you celebrate, lessen a little there, and then you go, and then you sacrifice. Only 27. And thou shalt offer thy burnt offerings, and the flesh, and the blood upon the altar of the Lord thy God, and the blood of thy sacrifices shall be poured out upon the altar of the Lord thy God, and thou shalt eat the flesh. Observe and hear all these words which I command thee, that it may go well with thee, and with thy children after thee forever, when thou doest that which is good and right in the sight of the Lord thy God. When the Lord thy God shall cut off the nations from before thee, where thou goest to possess them, and thou succeedest them and dwellest in their land. He's saying the same thing as before. So, like, listen to what I'm saying so you guys can succeed and do well and have and enjoy the nice things of the land and the world. So I need you guys to listen to me. 30. Take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by following them. After that, they be destroyed from before thee. So don't be snared and follow the ways of the wicked people around you. It's like, no, stick to what I've taught you. Again, Proverbs 4, not to the left or to the right. And that thou inquire not after their gods, saying, how do these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise. Thou shalt not do so unto the Lord thy God, for every abomination to the Lord which he hateth have they done unto their gods. For even their sons and their daughters they have burnt in the fire to their gods. He's like, I hate what they do over there. Don't even think about or question what they do and how they do it. It's like, stay away from them. What things soever I command you, observe to do it. Thou shalt not add thereto, nor diminish from it. Whatever I've told you to do, that's what you stick to. Don't add or take away from it. And that's one of the last things that the Bible itself in Revelation 22 says. So that's something that's always maintained in the Bible. But yeah, that's Deuteronomy 12.
For me, just on that point of Leviticus 11, where he differentiates the clean and the unclean beast, and those that eat after the unclean beast sin against God and things of that nature. You know, when it says, like in verse 20, where it says, you eat whatever thy soul lusteth after. I just want to really make it make sense that, first off, in chapter 10, he just said circumcise the foreskin of your hearts, which means to circumcise or cut off or get rid of that flesh or that sin in your mind or in your heart. Part of that sin is eating unclean things. So first and foremost, you shouldn't even be lusting after sin or lusting after eating unclean. Like you should already have killed that, gotten rid of that desire. So he says, whatever you lust after, he's not even talking about, and you've already said it, but then also, just like as an example, a man has a wife, right? And he leaves the house and he's like, all right, wife, I'm about to go, blah, blah, blah. Do whatever you want to do. I'll be home at 12, right? And he comes back home and his wife is cheating on him. Like, and he gets mad and tries to leave and she's like, well, you said do whatever I want. And he's like, girl, is you dumb? Like, that's not, like, it was already understood. You're not supposed to be cheating on me. And the same with God, it's already understood you're not supposed to be eating unclean things. He's already told us multiple times, and like you mentioned, we'll read it again in Deuteronomy. There's already a law saying what to eat and what not to eat. The point of it is eat flesh wherever you at. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can eat any unclean thing at your home. But the point of this whole passage was to say, hey, you're not going to just be doing things any type of way like we did in the wilderness. Like the stuff that belongs to the Lord, you're going to take it to a specific place, which, like you've already mentioned, was Jerusalem. That's really the point. The point isn't like, and it's already understood, you're not eating anything unclean. You know what I'm saying? So like, that shouldn't be our lust. Just like I shouldn't lust after another man's wife. That's sin. I've already been told not to do that. Like, why would I lust after that? You know what I'm saying? So I just really wanted to say that, but outside of that, I don't really have anything.
Me as
13, read.
Yeah.
13 and verse 1. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign of the wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods which thou hast known, and let us serve them. So this is a man, which they call a prophet or a dreamer. Dream, someone that had a dream or tells you something, and it actually comes to pass. And you know, our minds be like, oh, he said this was going to happen and it happened. He must be right. And then he tells you, let us go after these other gods, which you have not known, and let us serve them. So he tells you to start serving a God that isn't this God that we've been reading about. Verse 3, thou shalt not hearken unto the words of the prophet, or that dreamer of dreams. For the Lord your God proveth you to know whether you love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. And that just goes to show first that, hey, sometimes that can happen. Sometimes someone can say something because don't forget, Satan got a little power in this world too, right? So he can, if that's something that God allows him to do, sometimes he can make something come true. But the point is, and he tells you to go after a different God which you haven't known, it says, hearken not unto them. Like, don't listen to them. The Lord's trying to prove you. Verse 4, ye shall walk after the Lord your God and fear him, and keep his commandments and obey his voice, and ye shall serve him and cleave unto him. Point being, this is like you read in, I believe it was chapter 11, like, God's already shown you who he is and that he's the real God. Point being, no man should be able to come in between that, right? Or deceive you, which is why he said multiple times, beware lest you be deceived. Like, you gotta understand, people like, and you mentioned Matthew 24 earlier. Another thing it says is, it says beware of false prophets, and it says who are wolves in sheep clothing, right? And then you think of Paul when he told us, don't be. Satan himself was transformed as a minister of light. So don't be, shocked when his prophets, Satan's prophets are transformed as ministers of light. Point being, sometimes they can look like good people. Sometimes they might predict something correctly. But if they're telling you to go after another God or serve him a different way than how God told you to serve him, point being, we've talked about the law of God being the light that's going to get you to salvation, or the guide, or the direction. If someone's trying to steer you from that direction, like we talked about in Proverbs 4, going to the left or to the right, hey, don't listen to them. Right? Verse 5, and get away from them. But the Lord in his ways you shall cleave to and serve. That's verse 4. Verse 5, and that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death. So not only do you get away from him, he needs to die. Why? Because he's influencing you serving another God. You got to kill him. Because he has spoken to you away from the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust thee out of the way which the Lord thy God commanded thee to walk in. So shalt thou put the evil away from the midst of thee. So, in today's world, and we've said it multiple times, hey, separate yourself. You know what I'm saying? Move. But God takes it so serious that you got to die now. You know what I'm saying? That's his thoughts of putting away the evil, is you have to die. Because you tried to turn me to serve a different God. And that's also the level of, like, love and seriousness. We got to take it. Diligence, we got to take it, right? To the point where even if somebody mentions serving another God, hey, you got to die now. That's how serious you got to take serving your God. Verse 6, if thy brother or the son of thy mother or thy son or thy daughter, or the wife of thy bosom, or thy friend, which is as thine own soul, entice thee secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which thou hast not known, thou nor thy father. So he says your brother, the son of your daughter, your son. It says thine own, thy son, thy friend, is entice thee secretly. What secretly? That means don't nobody else even know about it. Like it could have just been you and him. You know what I'm saying? What do? Verse 7. Namely of the gods of the people which are round about you, nigh unto thee or far off from thee, from the one end of the earth, even unto the other end of the earth. Thou shalt not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him. Neither shall thine eye pity him. Neither shalt thou spare neither shalt thou conceal him, but thou shalt surely kill him. It says your eyes shouldn't even pity him, right? It says, you should not spare. Keep in mind, he mentioned your own son and daughter, your mother, your brother. Like, it doesn't matter who this person is. They're enticing you to go serve. Because, you know, sometimes, like, if you do it openly, it's like, oh, well, hey, you know what I'm saying? You brought that upon yourself. But if it's done in secret, I could just say no. And, you know what I'm saying? I don't want my mother to die, so I'm not going to. Or I don't want my son to die, so I'm not going to tell nobody. But no, that's not. God said don't pity him. Don't spare him. Neither shalt thou conceal him. Like, don't even hide that. It's that serious to the Lord. But you shall kill him. Verse 9. Thine hand shall be first upon him to put him to death. So even if this is your son, not only do you have to tell on him, you have to be the first one to cast that stone. Or however the process was to kill this man, right? Shall be the first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. And thou shalt stone him with stones that he dies. So now you got to stone him, and you got to be the first person to stone him. And it's not even like you got to be like it's a sad thing. No, Jesus said, him that love mother or father more than me is not worthy of me, right? The point is, God comes first, and anybody that isn't on that path is getting killed. So in today's time where, you know, when the Bible teaches us to separate ourselves or mark those that cause division and avoid them, like, we really got it easy. Just avoid them. Like, stop messing with them. And get away from them. Because it's only going to stir you the wrong way. Right? Verse 10. And thou shalt stone him with stones that he die, because he hath sought to thrust thee away from the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. And all Israel shall hear and fear, and shall do no more any such wickedness as this is among you. The point is, a little leaven the whole lump. We talked about that before. What is it, 1 Corinthians 5? Or even when, 2 Timothy 2, where it talks about, thus does the canker spread. Point being, you let that little bit of sin, or that little bit of thought process stay amongst the land, and it will eventually corrupt, slowly but surely, right? So that the point is, hey, we're gonna kill you, and then we're gonna use you as an example to everybody else. Don't even think that way, or you'll die, right? Because it says, and all Israel shall hear and fear, and shall do no more any such wickedness as this is among you. You will become an example. Verse 12. If thou shalt hear say in one of the cities which the Lord thy God hath given thee to dwell there, saying, certain men, the children of Belial, are gone out from among you, and have withdrawn the inhabitants of their cities, saying, let us go and serve other gods which ye have not known. Then shalt thou inquire, and make search, and ask diligently. And behold, if it be true, and the thing certain, that such abomination is wrought amongst you, thou shalt surely smite the inhabitants of the city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, and the cattle thereof, with the edge of the sword. So not only are you killing them, you're killing the cattle. Point, and look at verse 14 when it tells you how serious you need to take. Thou shalt inquire and make search and ask diligently. Like, it's not something you just let fly under the radar, or it's not that serious. No, this is a mission. This is something you need to find out, because if it's true, you have to die, right? Verse 16, and thou shalt gather all the spoil of it into the midst of the street thereof, and shalt burn with fire the city, and all the spoil thereof every whit for the Lord thy God. And it shall be in heap forever. It shall not be built again. That whole city is getting knocked off, and it'll not be built again. Point being, all the spoils is getting burnt. Like, we need to get rid of all of this, right? Verse 17, and there shall cleave not of the cursed thing to thine hand, that the Lord may turn from the fierceness of his anger, and show thee mercy, and have compassion upon thee, and multiply thee as he hath sworn unto their fathers. When thou shalt hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep all his commandments which I command thee this day, to do that which is right in the eyes of the Lord thy God. Point being, he ends it off the same way. Hey, but the whole focus is keep the commandments. Everybody should be keeping the commandments. And if somebody don't, if somebody's trying to stir you the wrong way or have you serving another God, hey, they get killed. We're getting rid of that living. We're getting rid of that sin. And we're getting rid of that mind that hasn't been circumcised. You know what I'm saying? So, point being, that's chapter 13.
Good reading.
Thank you.
Peace, Miss Tamika. And Yeah. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with chapter 13. I think with just respect of persons, stuff of that nature, where it's not even a thing of like today, like you definitely shouldn't go and stone somebody when you see that they have like it feels like obvious to say, but it's just all to the point, just that it's all about what is deserving, right? It's the same way as Romans 6 talks about the wages of sin is death, and that's what we're seeing here play out, where when you've committed sin, what the appropriate punishment is death. That's the automatic punishment. And that's what's even being talked about here, right? But the thing is, judgment is not ours to make, but the Lord's. So during this time, the Lord was just there. They could talk to the priests, and the Lord would just tell them exactly what to do, how to do it. Like, even think about,
the
man with sticks, and like how Moses was able just to inquire from the Lord and be like, hey, yeah, this is what we're going to do. This is how this is going to play out, right? Where A, we can't really do that now. And B, the whole point of especially what we see in the New Testament is he that is without sin cast the first stone.
Yeah.
Where, well, all of us have committed sin, right? And that's even what Romans 6 talks about as well, right? All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. We've all screwed up and done something, right? Whether it was what we may try to consider a white lie or something like murder, right? Everyone has done, or just eating pork or not keeping the Sabbath or literally like whatever it may be. We've all broken the law. So here's the thing. Who are any of us to try to kill someone else, right? And the thing is, the whole point of Christ coming to die was so that he could redeem sinners, right? So he could take that death instead of you so you could be redeemed and that you can live. That was the whole point. That's why baptism is so necessary, to get that death from off of you. And that's why it's so important that you don't sin from that point on, because you wash that sin off of you. You wipe that death off of you. But if after that you just sin again, then that death comes right back. Right? But all to the point that that's also why we don't do this now. Because, well, we're all sinners. We A, don't have the right to judge anyone to cast the first stone. And B, the whole point of Christ dying was so he redeemed people so that didn't have to happen. Because even then, the people here dying in this life sucks. But what's worse is dying in the next life. Like receiving the lake of fire because of the sins that we've done here. Right? But at the end of the day, like, judgment is the Lord. But all still to the point, we cannot have respect of persons in terms of, just even like in today's terms, you can put it just as rebuke and reproof, where I can't just pretend like, let's say my mom or my dad or whoever is like breaking the Sabbath. I can't go, oh, like, that's my dad. It's like, I can't say. It's like, no, dad, mom, whoever, you guys aren't keeping the Sabbath as you're supposed to, or you aren't, you're lying, or you bear false witness, or whatever the case may be, right? You've done these things, and I cannot endorse you in doing them. You can't physically stop anyone from doing anything. That's not even what it's saying to do here. But just you can't endorse, you can't allow, right? If it's within your power to control, maybe you can. But if you can't, then you don't endorse. And you don't pretend it's okay.
And to that point, I meant to say this earlier when you was talking about the idolatry. And it's something we've said before, but I just want to kind of reiterate, like, hey, just be like you said, just because you're not serving Esteroth or Baal, and you claim to be serving Christ, the point is, anything could be your God. Like, for example, you work on the Sabbath because you scared to tell your boss, or your boss said no. Like, you have made your boss your God. Like, you've chose to obey your boss rather than God. Or like, if you working on the Sabbath because you want the money, you have made money your God and put money above the God of the Bible, or Christ himself, right? Point being, I really just want to put names on it. Like, it may not be a person's name or a false god's name, but it is a name like that you've put above God. It has become your God, right? So I just wanted to kind of reiterate that. But point being, that shouldn't be like he said in this chapter. In verse 3 it says, "Don't listen to them, but ye shall walk after the Lord your God and fear Him and keep." Like He is your God. He's the one that you should be putting up and loving, more than anyone, even your mother, your children. Like you gotta understand, the Bible even say, what is it? A wise son is the heritage of a father, or something like that. Point being, like children mean something. Children are amazing. Children are a blessing to their parents. Hey, if they trying to serve other gods, you gotta kill them. Like nothing comes before that, right? But anyway. Well,
I'll finish with 14.
What time?
8:15.
No, I meant like.
Like 1:15.
Yeah, we can do that.
Oh, it's a little closer to this one, but yeah. All right. Deuteronomy 14, in verse 1. Ye are the children of the Lord your God. Ye shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord. And the Lord hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto Himself, above all the nations that are upon the earth. So it's like, well, okay, I made you guys to be a holy, a special, a peculiar people, a holy people, right? So he starts off with saying, okay, well, you can't. So this is all still the law, right? You can't just be making cuts into yourselves or any baldness between your eyes for the dead. Or it's not even literally saying like that's like here, like you can't shave your unibrow. For just like the Lord's not saying like you can't just shave your unibrow. I was like, no, but for the dead, because just think of it like rituals or even just whatever voodoo, or just not even necessarily just voodoo, but just like you'll read in the Bible sometimes they would put sackcloth and ashes on when they were mourning. Whereas that kind of thing, where I guess people just did like they would shave, pull their head, shave their head, or shave here for the dead. Was you saying, well, but you can't do that, right? Because I've set you apart to be a special people, right? But all to the point, all part of the law, verse 3, thou shalt not eat any abominable thing. So again, this goes back to Leviticus 11, and even goes back to what we saw in 12. Again, like he still has things he doesn't want you to eat, right? Things he's commanded you not to eat. About the abominable things, which they listed in Leviticus 11, but he's saying some of them again here. 4, these are the beasts which ye shall eat: the ox, the sheep, and the goat, the hart, and the roebuck. Again, they're like deer, and the fallow deer, that is a deer, and the wild goat, and the pigarg, and the wild ox, and the camoids. And every beast that parteth the hoof, and cleaveth the cleft into 2 claws, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall you eat. Again, those are the requirements, right? Anything that doesn't fit into that, think of something like a pig. It splits the hoof, but it doesn't chew the cud. You can't eat that. Nevertheless, these ye shall not eat, of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the cloven hoof, because they don't do both. As the camel, and the hare, that's a bunny, and the coney, for they chew the cud, but divide not the hoof, therefore they are unclean to you. And the swine, a pig, because it divideth the hoof, yet cheweth not the cud, is unclean unto you. And ye shall not eat of their flesh, nor touch their dead carcass. Again, like, you can't eat of this. Which is going back to 12. Like, that's not what he was saying before that you could. The Lord's not contradicting himself 2 chapters apart. He was talking about 2 different things. But all still to the point, right? This is all part of the law. You can't do these things. These ye shall eat of all that are in the waters. All that have fins and scales shall ye eat. So you can eat whatever has fins and scales. Whatsoever hath not fins and scales, ye shall not eat. It is unclean unto you. So if it doesn't have fins and scales, you can think of something like an octopus, which has neither. You can think something like a catfish, which doesn't have scales. You can't eat that. Of all clean birds ye shall eat. But these are they which ye shall not eat. So he lists the birds you can't eat. The eagle, and the ossifrage, and the osprey, and the glade, and the kite, and the vulture after his kind, and every raven after his kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cacao, and the hawk after his kind. the little owl, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gyre eagle, and the cormorant, and the stork, and the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat, and every creeping thing that flieth is unclean to you. They shall not be eaten. So he says you can't eat of these birds and these flying creeping things. Think of like a fly, or a gnat, or a bee. Like, you aren't eating of these. But of all clean fowls ye may eat. You may not eat of anything that dieth of itself. Thou shalt give it unto the stranger that is in thy gates, that he may eat of it. That he may eat it. Or thou mayest sell it unto an alien, for thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not seethe a kid in his mother's milk. So he's like, you guys can't eat anything that dies of itself. So think about coming up on roadkill, or like if you living out in the wilderness, like a fox or a wolf has killed some animal that's killed like a sheep or something. You can't just eat that sheep now. 22. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed, that the field bringeth forth year by year. You're supposed to tithe of your increase, give your 10% to God. Thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose to place his name there. That's what we're looking at chapter 12. The tithe of thy corn, of thy wine, and of thine oil, and the firstlings of thy herd and of thy flock, that thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy God always. Even especially when you have these two things together, it makes it very clear. We was talking about before, he was not endorsing just eating anything. And if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee, which the Lord thy God shall choose to set his name there, when the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, then shalt thou turn it into money, and bind up the money in thine hand, and shall go into the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. So again, if it was too far, you could just sell whatever you had and get money instead, and then tithe from that money. And thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth. And thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy God, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thine household. So you would sell stuff, get money, and then whenever you got there, to the place where the Lord chose, and we know eventually, like again, 1 Kings, that's Jerusalem, that you buy stuff from there and rejoice. And Levite that is within thy gate, thou shalt not forsake him, for he hath no part nor inheritance with thee. At the end of 3 years thou shalt bring forth all the tithe of thine increase the same year, and shalt lay it up within thy gate. So for like 3 years worth of tithes you bring up in that 1 year. And the Levite, because he hath no inheritance, no part nor inheritance with thee, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow which are within the gates shall come and shall eat and be satisfied, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all the work of thine hand which thou doest. So you bring all this up. Where the Lord said the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, the widow, because you're supposed to take care of these people, they will all come to eat of your tithe. And yeah, that's Deuteronomy 14.
That's a good reading, bro.
Thank you.
But yeah, to your point, like he's reiterating again to the dietary law.
Yeah.
So just that being said, in chapter 12, it goes without saying that he wasn't saying you could eat clean and unclean foods. Like that's not what he was saying. So unclean man and the clean man, they both eat. Thanks for that extra point.
That's all really talking about the beast.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Good. I love reading the Bible and seeing how great this world could have been. You know, and by great I mean perfect, honestly, because the laws were given to be perfect, right? He gave us the instructions to be perfect, and part of this perfect is loving your neighbors. Like in everything that the Lord commanded us to do, He was showing us how to love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Love Him and love our neighbors. Like one of the biggest things for me that is so crazy is out of your you plant your field, blah blah blah. You can't reap the corners. Like the corners are for the hungry, the people that can't eat or too poor to, like, you saving that for them. That's by commandment of the Lord. So in a lot of His commandments, He's showing us even something like don't curse to death or put a stumbling block in front of the blind. Like basically just don't be like, it's common sense. Don't be bullies. You know what I'm saying? Like point is, He's teaching you how to love your brethren and love your God. So in this example, like in verse 29, he starts naming people that, like he says, the fatherless, the stranger, and the widows which are in thy gates shall come, and he shall be satisfied. Like they'll be taken care of too. And it was like a family type vibe. Like if you were a widow, or you were like we said, I believe it was yesterday, you had a place to go back to, or you had I don't know if reparations is the right word, but you were taken care of by us, by the rest of the people.
Yeah.
Right?
It was one land, one people.
Exactly. Versus, where we're at in America, it's just that same lack of love. Like in God's world, ain't no way you're a billionaire and there's people that can't eat. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not even a thing to God. But hey, that's the world we live in today. But the point is, if Israel had been obedient and did their job preaching the gospel to every nation, and they got on board and started being obedient to God and things of that nature, because he said, hey, this world would be close to perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like the world would be great,
Significantly better.
So that just goes to show this world is ran by evil and wickedness. Like that's
spiritual wickedness in high places.
Yeah. So. But that's all I got to say.
Yeah, peace, bro, JD. But yeah, I mean, and I think that's even like it's one of those things. The more like you read the intricacies of like the Bible and like how the Lord wanted things to be set and how things were, just like even like we're going that route, like where like if we had like followed this ordinance and like helping or like leaving the outward parts of our fields be unclean for the people who needed it, right? Like leaving that bit behind, or the people who like don't have, like the fatherless, the widow, stranger, like during like these celebrations, like we gave them to them, like how much better the world would be, and how if like we did stuff like the year of Jubilee and everyone has set land and stuff of that nature, then like how much better the world would be and how much less poverty there would be in there, because there would be a continual inheritance, all that. Like there's a lot of it on that end. We even look at just within this chapter, like all the unclean foods and stuff of that nature. Where if you really think about like half of the stuff that, hey, think about when we think about something that's like poisonous or venomous, right? None of the animals that are clean are that, really. If you really think about it, none of them are. Like a puffer fish doesn't have fins and scales. Like you wouldn't be eating any snakes from this. Like it just, and then even if you think of like the things that they say are like more so harmful to us, like pork is a really big example of like a food that I feel like most people at this point in time know is not good for you to eat. You get like over time you get really bad cholesterol and like blood pressure issues from continually eating that food. But it's just like the Lord never wanted you eating that anyway, right? And it's that way in many aspects. So where it's just like, well, yeah, we did listen to the Lord. Not even just in the sense of like the Lord would bless us, like we saw in like chapter 11, chapter 12. I've said before, you blessing and cursing, right? But just like I won't even say in a literal sense, because that's literally what the Lord would be doing anyway, right? Blessing you. But it just makes sense. Even if the Lord didn't command that, it just makes sense for that to have been the case anyway. Because it gives you a good result. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about 14. Was there a
Yeah, peace, Miss Tamika. The design was great. I don't know when that was sent, but if you're talking about this, like God designing us taking care of our brother and sisters, yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Peace, brother Jediah.
But yeah, I can't think of one. You got one?
Why not read that Matthew 5? Have we read that before?
I don't believe we have.
I was gonna read Ezekiel 18. If you have some free time, you can read it. But the point is, in Ezekiel 18, it's like, hey, if you turn from your righteousness like, and go to wickedness, all the righteousness that you've done won't be accounted for. But if you turn from your evil into righteousness, all your evil won't be accounted for. Point being, once you're righteous, you have no room to turn back to evil. You know what I mean? And when you're evil, you still have a chance. Like, you still turn, repent, and be baptized. All that stemmed from when we were talking about that baptism. But you can read that on your own. But Matthew 5 and verse it's 40 something. No, it's like 16. Yeah, 17. I'm starting 17. Think not, and this Jesus talking. He says, "Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill." So first thing first, he says, don't think that I've come to destroy the law, what we've been reading, or the prophets, which we're going to read. He didn't come to destroy or get rid of any of that. He said, I came not to destroy, but to fulfill. Fulfill what? The prophecy of his coming. Like, he didn't, like people say, no, he fulfilled the law. We don't have to do it. No. It was prophesied when you look at places like Isaiah, what is it, 64, like, what is it 59, where it talks about he was bruised for our iniquity and pierced for our transgressions. Like, that's prophesying of Jesus going through hell in this life for us, right? So he came to fulfill things like that. But verse 18, "For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled." So, until heaven and earth pass, until this world is done away with, not one thing from the law that we've been reading is going to pass, till all things be fulfilled, till everything that's been prophesied has come to fruition, right? Verse 19, "Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven." So we can even equate that to back, what was it, 13 that we read, where he was trying to the quote-unquote prophets or drapers of dreams, or even your children, were trying to get you to serve other gods. Like, that's serious. He said, not only those that do so, but teach men so. That's why they had to get killed. You know what I'm saying? But they shall, I'm going to restart at 19. "Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven." I.e., you're going to be put in a lake of fire. "But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven." The point is, Jesus didn't come to get rid of the law. And I'm actually going to skip it and kind of go into that. But he didn't get rid of the law. He told us we need to be keeping it. Same thing he told us in Deuteronomy that we read. Hey, if you don't keep it, you're going to get punished for it. But if you do keep it, the only difference is he's not saying in the land. Like, this is eternally, right? So it's even, more. But verse 20, "For I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven." Point being, the Pharisees, they could talk about it, but the whole problem with the Pharisees and them is they weren't doing it. Like, Jesus even said, "Do as the Pharisees say and not as they do." I mean, do as they... Yeah. Do as the Pharisees say and not as they do. Point being, they could tell you the law, but they weren't doing it. That was their whole issue. Just to show us, we need to be doing it. We need to be better than them. Not just talking, like James chapter 1 says, don't be hearers of the law, but doers of it. The point is, the old, new, it's all on one accord. There's no changing. But even in verse 21, "Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, that thou shalt not kill." So it was. Exodus 20, we read in Deuteronomy 5 multiple times. Hey, don't kill. "And whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of judgment." Like, we read multiple times, hey, you murder somebody, you're going to die back, right? But verse 22, "But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of judgment." So I don't even have to kill anyone. If I'm just angry without a cause, now I'm in danger of judgment. Now I face that same punishment as if I killed someone, but I didn't even kill. Point is, Jesus didn't get rid of the law. If anything, he gave us more understanding of the law, right? Like, he wasn't like, in old times it was said you can't kill, but in today's time you can kill now. No, he said no. He said you shouldn't even think You shouldn't be angry with your brother without a cause. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raca, shall be in danger of counsel, but whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. Verse 27, ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery, which is another commandment. Verse 28, but I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her, hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. Point being, he did not get rid of the commandment of adultery. He just gave us more understanding on it. Not only because adultery is sleeping with another man's wife, but he just showed us that, hey, not only is it sleeping, but even the thought to do so, you have committed adultery in your heart already. Like, it's showing us you don't even have to go through with the act. All you have to do is think about it and not condemn that thought, and you've sinned. Right. Point being, Jesus himself is not getting rid of the law. He's showing us more about the law. Right? But verse 29, and if thy right hand offend thee, pluck it out, and cast it far from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell. So he still got hell on the table. He said, if your right hand offend thee, or if your right eye offend thee, pluck it out. Like, if you got problem looking at these women, and you're lusting in your mind, and you're committing this sin against God, because he just said it's sin, hey, get rid of your eyes. It's better that you have no eyes than that you end up in hell or the lake of fire. Point being, he didn't get rid of the law. He gave us more understanding of it. Not even more understanding, but he just kind of broke it down more to us and made it more, helped us with the mind of it as well, right? Not just the action. But verse 30 again, and if thy right hand offend thee, cut it off and cast it from thee, for it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that the whole body should be cast into hell. He said it's profitable for me. Like, it's good for you if you just cut it off. Point being, if sin is what you're clinging to, you gotta cut it off. You have to turn back to God, which is why I wanted to read Ezekiel 18. But you have that opportunity. What does it say? A living dog is better than a dead lion. Like, as long as you're alive and there's breath in your body, there's a chance to obtain that mercy from God. But you have to turn back and get back on board with this plan, which was be obedient. Like we said, what does the Lord require of us? We just read that in Deuteronomy 10, I think it is. But it's to serve, it's to love the Lord thy God, serve him, be obedient, keep his commandments, his statutes, and his judgment. This is what the Lord requires out of us. It's not just required, like, require means, like, for example, if I want to get my driver's license, I'm required to go through this course and pass the course. Point being, if I didn't do what was required of me, there's no chance of me getting that license, right? Same thing with God. Hey, God has a great prize, a prize that what does Paul say? It's not worthy to be compared. Like, you can't, like, our trials and tribulations and things we go in this life aren't even worthy to be compared to what the Lord has in store for us or the kingdom of God, right? But point being, if you want that reward, you must first fulfill what is required of you and keeping the law, keeping the judgments, loving God, loving your brethren, right? So outside of that, that was that scripture. I don't have anything else. But you got something?
No. Yeah. That, I think we are finished for today. So we got pretty good reading done today, and Lord willing, we'll pick up with, Deuteronomy 15 tomorrow. As always, thank you for joining us. Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow.
Peace.
Peace.